council meeting of the year 2024, and a number of issues were discussed. But before I go into the deliberations at the council meeting today, I want to inform you that council had a minute silence in honor of Alhaji Ahmed Mohammed Gusau, a member of the Federal Executive Council 2007 to 2008 during the regime of President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. He was Minister of State for Mines. He passed on the 25th of May, 2024, and the Federal Executive Council observed 1 minute silence in his honor. We pray all for the repose of his soul. Now, the council deliberated on the state of affairs in our nation, especially the issue of our food supply and shortage of food on the table of many Nigerians. And after exhaustive deliberation, the Minister of Agric had earlier been directed to ensure that food is being made available to Nigerians, and the understanding is that about 20 trucks of rice has already been supplied to each of the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. Each of the trucks, of course, is carrying about 1,200 bags of 25 kg rice. This is part of the measures that government is taking, in addition to so many other ones, to ensure that the hardship being experienced by Nigerians is drastically being ameliorated. So for recap, each of the state governors has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is a first step, and government will continue, the federal government will continue to support all the state governors, the local government, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is bridged. It is expected that the state governors will go ahead to distribute these food items to the most vulnerable, so that the hardship, like I said, being experienced will be brought down significantly. There is also a discussion on the CNG that the federal government has promised Nigerians. The Federal Executive Council has directed the Committee on CNG to expedite its activities to supply buses, to also make it possible for the conversion kits to be available to most Nigerians. Already they have started, but the Federal Executive Council directed that they should double their effort so that the conversion kits that we need for the CNG to operate will be made available. Also, the conversion centers that had earlier been approved will also be significantly be upgraded, so that Nigerians will have more conversion centers, more conversion kits. The compliance level of CNG the federal government has directed need to go up, so as to reduce our over-reliance on PMS, and this will in turn also aid our energy transition from fossil fuel to renewable energy. Now, you are also aware that last week the Nigerian Labour Congress met with Mr. President this, of course, was part of the consultation that the President was doing. Recall that he had met the organized private sector. He had also met the subnationals after the committee, the tripartite committee on labor submitted its report, in order to ensure that there is a thorough analysis of the situation, so that government will come up with a minimum wage that works for all Nigerians, the federal government, the subnationals, and the organized private sector. That was also discussed today, and government has directed the Ministry of Budget to also come up with additional 2024 additional support for the 2024 budget, so that any differential or any gaps that there will exist in terms of what existed before the 2024 budget was approved, and the supplementary budget, and also what the requirement is for now. So government is working around the clock to ensure that it comes up with a minimum wage, like I said, that works for all Nigerians at the end of the day. This, of course, will be submitted to the National Assembly so that it can have legislative backing. Let me also say that the President is also open to meeting the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and all their affiliates. We expect that meeting to hold this coming Thursday. I recall that this was already what the labor unions requested during their meeting with Mr. President last week. So the President is in agreement. He knows that the labor wants to quickly finalize this issue of minimum wage, and the government is also anxious to put the issue of minimum wage behind it. So it is expecting that the Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and all their affiliates, as requested by them last week, will meet the President on Thursday, and after which the President will now transmit whatever the final agreements are, or what his views are on the tripartite committee's report to the National Assembly for legislation. Now, in all, the Federal Executive Council took note of some of the complaints amongst Nigerians, some of the issues raised in terms of transportation, in terms of food crisis or food shortages in many homes around the country. And the Federal Executive Council is ramping up all that needs to be done to ensure that food is being put on the table of most Nigerians. So what government is doing now is just the necessary first step to ensure that supplies are made available to Nigerians through the state governors. I have told you earlier that 20 trucks of rice already has reached the state governors. All the governors have already taken delivery of that. And government will continue to work to ensure that food is made available. This, of course, is in addition to the effort that government is making in terms of fertilizer supply, which is already also being processed. Most of the governors will also have support. Recall that the Central Bank of Nigeria had earlier made available over 2.1 million bags of assorted fertilizer to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security for onward distribution to these states. So that is also in progress, and the federal government will do everything that it can to ensure that we have more food for our people. Investments in the agricultural sector is ramped up, and you also know that the Federal Ministry of livestock development that was announced by Mr. President will also take off very soon. So these are some of the measures and some of the discussions that we